Hi there, my name is Dr. Cindy Banyai. I'm the Democratic nominee for U.S. House of Representatives, Florida 19, and this is Perspective on Lee Pitts Live. This episode, we're talking about your vote and why it matters, and what you need to know for the 2022 election. Politicians love to say how important elections are. Every election, people say, this is the most important election of your life. Sometimes that's a stretch. What is important to understand is the value and power of your vote and how using it or not using it can affect you. On this episode of Perspective, we will talk about the 2022 elections, who is on the ballot and what they can do for you. Who is up for election and why should you care? There's a big race this year, statewide races including governors, that's Ron DeSantis' seat, and other statewide offices. Why are these important? Because they set the tenor for the state, including how the state budget is spent, the culture of state law enforcement, and how we enforce things in our legal system. The governor makes major appointments to everything from vacant county commission seats, like the one we just saw here in Lee County, to judges and people who oversee institutions like Lee Health and Florida Gulf Coast University. Nikki Fried is running for governor on a platform of the legalization of cannabis. She is also for common sense gun reform and restoring integrity to our capital in Tallahassee. The chief financial officer of the state of Florida is also on the ballot. They handle the state's money and prevents corruption and misuse of public dollars. Adam Hattersley is running for the seat. He is a Navy vet and engineer who wants to bring accountability to our budgets. The Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services is another statewide office that you may not have heard of. This office does more than just deal with farmers. They oversee nonprofit activity and businesses in the state, including weapon registration. Ryan Morales is also putting cannabis on the forefront of his campaign for the Commissioner of Agriculture, as well as common sense gun administration. State Attorney is another statewide office that's on the ballot this year in 2022. The State Attorney is extremely important, and they advise on the legality of legislative and administrative activities coming out of Tallahassee, as well as the legal pursuits of the state. And it sets the tenor for the entire state's legal system, including our local jurisdictions and things like challenges to healthcare issues, federal issues, and elections. Aramis Ayala wants to end legal shenanigans in Tallahassee and stop the use of state resources for political gain. Her husband is a returning citizen, so she wants to ensure people can exercise their right to vote after convictions. Don't forget about state legislative races this year. Did you happen to hear about the Stop Woke Act, the Don't Say Gay bill, or the 15-week abortion ban? Those were all decided in the Florida legislature. All Florida State House and State Senate seats are up for election this year because of the redistricting after the 2020 census. Howard Sapp, Mitchell Schleyer, and Eric Engelhardt are all running for Florida State House here in Southwest Florida on platforms of equality, freedom, and accountability. Christopher Proya is a working class guy ready to work for regular folks in our community in the Florida State Senate. Local races are also very important, and they are on the seat up here in 2022 as well. The Lee County School Board races are hot. Many far-right Christian nationalists are running, if you haven't seen them already. These are folks that have included those who have disrupted routinely the work of our administration and our school board at the school board meetings over the last year, demanding outlandish things, and they also want to defund our schools. Most importantly, this is an election that you need to come out for on August 23rd. That is when the school board election starts. Only 27% of the voters typically vote in the primary elections here in Florida, and that means that every single vote counts, and people who win those elections are oftentimes winning by very small numbers. Elections in Lee County have been decided, won or lost, on margins as small as 11 votes, and that includes seats like the mayor in Cape Coral. Every registered voter can vote in that primary election coming up on August 23rd, even if you are not registered for a party, and that is because it is a nonpartisan race. Anyone winning 50% plus one on August 23rd in the school board election will win automatically. So we need you to show up for our kids. Candidates working for our kids include Debbie Jordan, Gwen Gittens, Kathy Fanny, Tia Collin, and Jerry Ware. County Commission is also coming up. County Commission is where taxes, local taxes are decided, as well as where we can build buildings, how roads and sidewalks are built, as well as what happens in the sheriff's office. Matt Wood is the only one running currently who is not bought and sold by developers and industry interests. City councils are also on the ballot here in 2022. We need you to show up also in the primary election for those races, again, because they are nonpartisan. Fort Myers and Cape Coral both have city council elections coming up on that primary on August 23rd. The City Council controls our parks and organizations here like the Stars Complex and the Stadium, and they have a direct relationship with the Fort Myers PD. Chantel Rhodes and Teresa Watkins Brown have been working for the people for a long time, and they are on the ballot. Bonita Springs, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Fort Myers City again, as well as their City Council and mayoral races, will both be on the ballot in November as well as in August. Let's get a little bit more information about these upcoming elections. Starting on June 30th of this year, the Lee County Supervisors of Elections began mailing updated voter information cards to the 508,000 Lee County voters. This shows all the new information after that redistricting. It includes your voter information, your party affiliation if you have one, voting districts, and the 2020 voter information such as dates and times. So be sure to check your mail. Most importantly, that August 23rd primary is coming up. That is primaries for the parties as well as those nonpartisan elections. You need to be registered to vote and select your party if you want to vote in that primary, and this needs to be done no later than July 25th. You can go to lee.vote to check and update your voter registration. You can view a sample ballot, see your voting locations, and see who is on your specific ballot. If you plan on voting by mail, you should also update your online registration for that, as well as your signature to make sure that it will match and your ballot does not get thrown out. Remember that Florida is a closed primary state, meaning that you must register with a party in order to vote for that primary. That means Republicans vote for Republicans and Democrats vote for Democrats, but everybody can vote in the nonpartisan races such as school board and city council. It's particularly important to vote in these nonpartisan races because people who vote in that August election will have a chance to affect that election. And if you wait until November, you may not even get a chance to choose. Early voting for that August 23rd primary runs from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday, August 13th through Saturday, August 20th. And you can vote in any of the 12 early voting locations, including the Dr. Carrie Robinson Center, the Fort Myers Library downtown, and the Veterans Park in Lehigh. November 8th is the general election, and any changes to your voter registration must be made prior to October 11th to be able to vote in that general election. The winners of the primaries will face off versus one another and decide who is going to be on that next term. Early voting for the general election is Monday, October 24th to Saturday, November 5th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Again, at those 12 early voting locations, you can vote at any one, including the Dr. Carrie Robinson Center, Fort Myers Library, downtown, and Veterans Park in Lehigh. Before we close today, there's just a couple of things that I wanted to remind you that are new this legislative session or after the most recent legislation coming through that may change how you vote. Make sure that no one else except for you or a family member is turning in your vote by mail. If you want to turn it into a drop box, the drop box locations are at only the elections offices, including the downtown office, the US 41 office, the Cape Coral Government Center, and the Bonita Springs branch office. Make sure that when you come to vote, you are bringing a picture ID with signature. This is a law that was passed recently here in the state of Florida. Official IDs that are good for you to vote include your driver's license, ID card, US passport, debit card or credit card if it has a picture and signature on it, military ID, student ID, retirement center identification, neighborhood association identification, public assistance identification, veteran health identification, or even your concealed carry permit. So make sure that you have that. If you are a returning citizen, remember Constitutional Amendment 4 has been passed and you can get your rights restored. That was passed in 2018 and we encourage you to go to the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition at FloridaRRC.com or call 407-901-3749 to get assistance on restoring your right to vote. And if you are a non-English speaker, there are ballots in Spanish, and if you need assistance in another language, don't be afraid to ask because your rights are covered in the Voting Rights Act of 1965 if you are a non-native English speaker or need any assistance in reading the ballot. So get ready to get out and vote. How our city is run is on the ballot this year. Reproductive freedom and medical privacy are on the ballot this year. Who gets priority for city and county funds is on the ballot this year. The attitude of our state and local policing institutions is on the ballot this year. Whether or not you can listen to music in your car loud is on the ballot this year. The education of our kids is on the ballot this year. If you care about any of these things, get into gear. Make sure you are registered to vote and make a plan to vote on August 23rd and November 8th. Get out there and match the efforts of those of you who are trying to strip you of that right to vote. You know, if your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying so hard to get it from you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. My name is Dr. Cindy Banyai, Democratic nominee for U.S. House of Representatives, Florida 19, and this has been Perspective on Lee Pitts Live. Now back to Lee. I'm Dr. Cindy Banyai, Democratic candidate for U.S. House of Representatives, Florida Congressional District 19. I'm a teacher and small business owner. I'm fighting for the things we need: clean water, good health, and good jobs. I'm here with you and for you. Let's create a Southwest Florida where the sun shines on everyone. Send me to Congress to work for you. Check your voter registration and vote for me, Dr. Cindy Banyai. I'm Cindy Banyai and I approve this message.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello everybody, this is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show, and if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime, and also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live and there you go.